putting the spotlight on local businesses in the capital city. This is 402 Business Insider with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish on 1499.3 KLIN.
And good morning. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider. I'm Travis Filing. With me, as always, Gary Tharnish. How you doing today, Gary?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man.
Good.
I'm doing really good.
Yeah, it's a great day.
Yes, it is. So starting off, our first segment here is brought to us by Sutter Heyman Jewelers and Red Rhino Roofing. So we appreciate those guys. And we're going to kick it off with business lessons in the news. I've been paying a lot of attention to Starbucks. Are you guys Starbucks fans? Kind of go there? Yeah, maybe sometimes. Do you go to Starbucks, Gary?
You know, I'll meet clients there periodically. It's not my go-to. I don't really go. I don't like to pay a lot for a cup of coffee. Let's just start there.
Well, then don't go to Starbucks.
I'm cheap, frugal, whatever you want to say. I'll go there. I don't really drink their coffee or anything, but I'll meet clients there off and on. Otherwise, no, not really.
Yeah.
So
Starbucks seems to be going through this kind of constant reinventing themselves. They're just on this weird roller coaster. And I keep looking going, they did some amazing, like if you would have invested 10 grand at Starbucks back in 1995, it'd be worth like $3 million. By the time COVID started, and you go, whoa, okay, they're doing well. And then when COVID hit, you would think, oh man, COVID had to kill them. And for a lot of businesses, COVID was a bone crushing reality.
yeah, sure.
And so they reinvented themselves. Like they went from, I think it was 1 or 2% of their stores were drive-through, and then it went up to 70%, which makes sense.
I had to.
I mean, you have no choice. It's
Sure.
either drive-through or app, and you pick it up because you couldn't go inside, you couldn't sit, you couldn't do the Starbucks thing. And actually, that first year of COVID, their business shot up another 25%. And you go, whoa, they're doing well.
Good move.
And then it crashed. I mean, it dropped almost in half. Their stock price dropped almost in half when the lockdowns eased up. And so you go, okay, well, what in the heck happened here? That's kind of weird. Well, it turns out what happened was they kind of kept the whole business model of people aren't coming into the stores. They're going to hit us in drive-thrus. And they didn't adapt back to what their consumers wanted.
Right. And at a time when people wanted to be with people again.
Yes.
Other than those that were just at home with our people, which we do need to get away from our people once in a while. Right.
Right.
And so, they blew it.
And you think too, because did you live in a big city?
I grew up here in Lincoln.
I know you've lived here most of your life, or is it your whole life?
My whole life.
Okay.
Every 64 summers have been right here.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I've lived all over the place, but I think back when, like, I lived in New York and I've lived in St. Louis and grew up in Cleveland and lived in Denver. And when you get to those major cities, it's almost you have to go out because you're either stuck in your little apartment or you're out. And I couldn't imagine being cooped up. Like when I was in New York, it was not my apartment wasn't much bigger than this studio.
Sure.
Get me out of here. So those people, they really lost a lot by not being able to go back to Starbucks and find your little nook. And they changed the furniture. They got rid of all the comfy furniture because, well, it's a maintenance problem. And if nobody can come in and sit down, so they kind of got rid of it. And now they're having to buy it all back and bring it back. So, I mean, the business lesson is you have to pay attention to what's going on with the community, but you also have to be aware that when the lockdowns stop, start taking your customers' temperature. What are they wanting? What are they looking for? Are sales declining? Yeah. And they just kind of pressed on and went, it's all going to work out. And it never did.
Yeah. I've talked about this before on our show often, and every business needs to do this 4 times a year at minimum. Your inner perception of your business and what you think other people think of your business, what your clients think of your business, those types of things. You need to look at that constantly because oftentimes what they are thinking on the outside could be totally different.
Right.
I mean, I've shared the story of what I did at the flower shop where we invited 12 customers and we had gone through this whole thing of what we thought we were really great at. Service was our number one thing. It came in number 10 out of 10 with our clients. It's like,
yeah,
wow.
What are they expecting?
And so we adjusted and made the changes that we need to for that to work. It's easy. And I've never worked for a large corporation. I've always been an entrepreneur. But I would think in a large, I kind of do now as a realtor in a way, although I'm a 1099, but I
Right.
see the corporate structure sometimes, and it's like sometimes pivoting. It's like, hey, turn the Titanic around in the Pawnee Lake today. Can you do that by 5 p.m. and it's 4? That's not
Right.
going to happen.
Yeah.
And that happens in corporations a lot where they can't pivot quickly. So who's making the decision at Starbucks? Is it the people that are at the local stores? No. So you oftentimes get those big challenges is how I see it.
Yeah. And I would think Starbucks being able, like you said, being able to pivot quick and make a change, that's got to be hard to do because they have to do it well, they have to do it worldwide because they're a worldwide company.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be real interesting to sit back and watch and see what happens from here. Because I know they did the uniform thing where they had to go to a specific uniform, and then all the employees were upset because I don't want to wear khakis. It's like, really?
I think the reason I never really got attached to Starbucks a lot was the first time I went and ordered something for my daughter. And she had to text it to me, and I could hardly even verbalize it. I go, I don't even know half the, like, you want a Venti X something with oak yat baby milk, and you need some. I'm like, what is this that my daughter's drinking? Yeah, and a double and a shot and then a dirty something. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing this for you again. Anyway, it's interesting, and think of the competition that they have now, even just right here in Lincoln, right? So we have Scooters, this new 7 Brew. Those stores are incredible to me. We were coming home from an event downtown, coming down O Street, and there's a new one on 26th. No, it used to be Burger King. It's a 7 Brew now, 8:30 at night. Both drive-through lanes are full, and they have 2 people out there taking your pre-orders at 8:30 at night.
Yeah.
I don't know, John. I think you're the only one I know that drinks coffee past 10, and I just met you today and made that up. But anyway, the point is, I'm like, what are they drinking? But they've got some stiff competition.
They do. But again, what is, and we'll have to get him on. Alex, I can't think of his last name, is the guy who brought 7 Brew to town. We'll have to get him on the air because they've got some secret sauce going on there that blows my mind. Because to me, now I get it. I'm a boring black coffee drinker. That's it. Nothing fancy. And am I willing to stand in line for that? No.
The funniest thing about that whole comment was boring. I would not attach that to you. But anyway, go ahead.
That's my home run swing, man. What are you talking about?
Right.
But you see traffic like backed up on O Street. There's that one over there by Freddy's. What is that, like 50th, 56th or something like that? And they're out on O Street parking. I'm like, wow, coffee must be good, service must be good, and they must be able to get through these people quick, because why would you be parked on the road to go get a cup of coffee?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very interesting. And we should, gosh, I didn't even think of this. We probably should have called Erica from the chocolate season.
There you go.
She's running a coffee shop too.
Sure.
And I love that place. But it could have been, that'd be interesting. We'll have to, maybe somewhere down the road.
I have to order my business gifts online from there. Otherwise, if I go in, my business client gets $80 worth of something.
Oh, I know.
$200 worth of stuff I don't need.
I know. She. Well, what was the thing when we had her on the air? She had that whatever thing. She's like, "Oh, I'm making them next week, and come in and get it." And I went in there and got it, and then you walk out spending like $100.
I know, it was just wonderful though. It's always great.
Such a good business. Love her to death. She was a lot of fun. Well, our guests today is John Olsson and Nick Steinke, and they are with Olsson. And so, how you guys doing?
Outstanding.
Yeah,
doing well, thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I kind of blew through the whole first segment, just John here. So, what we'll probably do is go to a break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little engineering. We're going to talk a lot of engineering, and we're going to see if you guys can engineer a time machine for me so I can go back and buy some Starbucks stock. But you're listening to the 402 Business Insider. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Nick Steinke and John Olsson. I can get it out. I'm a professional. I've done this before. We'll be back right after this.
conversation at a time. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
Welcome back to the 402 Business Insider. If you're just joining us today, my name's Gary Tharnish with Home Design Real Estate. My co-host is Travis Filing with Transformation Marketing. And today we have two wonderful guests, John Olsson and Nick Steinke from Olsson. And we'll be chatting with them in a minute here. But first, I want to let you know that this segment is brought to you by the Cabin Virtual Indoor Golf and Western National Bank, and also Mendoza Family Insurance. Three great companies there. Of course, Cabin Virtual Golf, Indoor Golf. Travis knows all about that, but that's an amazing place.
John and I played it. John's come down and played down
I've been to
there,
the cabin.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice. You like it?
I loved it.
Yeah,
Loved
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I think it's so interesting how the floor tilts and stuff. I don't really play golf. I mean, you wouldn't want to play golf. For me, the first time I did, there were 144 of us on a tournament, and I did win a trophy for coming in 144th, and it was a hilarious looking trophy. But anyway, not my thing. But sounds like a fun place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had a blast. John beat the pants off me, so it's kind of embarrassing when you're on your home
John's
turf.
a good golfer,
right? Yeah, but that's how it goes. That's the beauty of golf, is you really don't play against each other. You play against yourself.
You play against yourself.
Yeah.
And you
That's,
have fun.
that's what I say, because
Yeah.
John beat the pants off of me. So I go, it doesn't matter, and then I go home and cry.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, John, thanks for joining us today, and tell us a little bit. How did Olsson begin?
How did Olsson begin?
Yeah.
Well, what was the story there? Huh?
Yeah, what's the story? There's got to be a story.
There is a story, and it's actually kind of interesting. So I assume
Good.
you want to go way back to the beginning, right?
Yeah, that'd be a great place to start.
All
Yes.
right. So it began with one guy, John E. Olsson, who was my dad, and his
Okay.
parents were Swedish immigrants. Okay.
Okay.
So they came over from Sweden sometime around late 1800s, settled in Queens, New York, which is where my dad was born. And he got through high school. He was a sailor, right? His family grew up on the water, so he learned to sail,
Nice.
but he wanted to do something big with his life.
Yeah.
And his dad said to him, we've got some relatives out in the middle part of Nebraska. Why don't you go head west and see what you can find out there?
Take your sailing skills out there.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Branched Oak. Come on out.
Yeah,
right?
And
You know,
Nebraska does have a Navy, which still cracks me.
we
up, anyway.
do have a Navy. Yeah. So, I think he hitchhiked out here, went to school, got educated, got a degree in mechanical engineering, went into the Navy. Then when that was over, he got a job with a consulting firm working part-time as an intern. But then in 1956, he was kind of at a crossroads in life. He had an opportunity to go to Minneapolis to work for a large company, I think 3M. You probably heard of that.
Sure.
He had a chance to stay with a smaller firm he was working with, or he could hang a shingle up on the wall with the $6,000 he had in his pocket and start his own company. And that's what he did. So
Sweet.
he didn't have a lot.
That's
He had
great.
my mom typing letters for him. So it began with an office in the Sharp building in downtown Lincoln with one guy, and my mom helping him out. So,
Did he specialize in any specific type of engineering, or?
Yeah, so this is actually kind of cool. So he was educated as a mechanical engineer. He took the civil engineering PE exam. I don't even know if they'll let you do that anymore. And then he became a licensed surveyor. So right off the bat, he was pretty diversified in what he could do, because he could do the survey and civil and mechanical. So he
Wow,
was able to do a lot. Yeah.
very good.
Sweet.
That's
So,
cool. So then that was in 1956.
1956. Yeah.
And did it go well, like right from the get-go?
Of course,
Or
absolutely not.
it never does.
He
does
didn't
it?
know
Yeah.
anybody. He
Roller
didn't have any
coaster.
jobs.
Yeah.
How does work come in? Where do you get your work? So he
Right.
spent a lot of time on the road, driving around Nebraska, going to small towns, a lot of city council meetings, village board meetings, not begging for work, but to try to get to know people and become their friend and say, hey, I'm John Olsson. This is what I do, just
Sure.
kind of develop a relationship. And he knew that if you did that, that in time, as problems came up in those communities, they would need help and they might think of him.
John, we talk about it all the time that business is relational, period. When I got into real estate, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to kind of do this as retirement. So, of course, we all make mistakes. It's not really retirement because it's a lot of work. However, I loved learning all of this new. And at the end of the day, it's all relational. So I mentor a lot of new young realtors. And I remember one of them, he like third, fourth time I met him, he goes, I did a little research on you. And he goes, like, you've only been a realtor for a year and a half. And I'm like, but I've seen 60 some summers. How many have you seen? So I had a business for 38 years. This business is relational. It's not all, you do need to know the facts and this and that. There's people that help you with all that, but it's relational. No different in your business. It's a very smart idea that he did that. I did that when I first opened my flower shop. Just went around to all sorts of businesses, dropped off flowers. It's a great way to get past the gatekeeper. to the person in HR. So probably did that at your company. I don't know.
Well, I think you did. I mean,
Yeah.
engineering and consulting, we're problem solvers at the end of the day, but we don't make anything really. We don't produce a widget. So everything that we do is intellectual property. It goes home with our employees at the end of the day. So it's, taking care of your employees that take care of the clients. That's where the relationships really bear themselves out.
And so you came into the business when?
I started in 1989 and we had 50 people at the time. So we went from 1 to 50 over about 33 years, I guess.
And was your dad still running it at the time?
He was not. He had kind of stepped back. The second generation of leadership was starting to take over, and my dad was kind of working his way out of it. But with that new generation of leadership kind of came a sense of diversity, because my dad's deal over the first 30 plus years was to grow the public sector. I mentioned municipalities. That's what he did. Mm-hmm. City of Mullen, city of Minden, who we still serve today, city of Tecumseh, town of whatever. That was what he did. With the changing in the leadership came a stronger bent towards serving private sector. So developers and things of that nature. So we began to diversify as a firm.
So was it like bridges, buildings? Was it everything? Because I think in Panama, we have a sewer project. We have, all these different. So do you guys kind of do everything?
We do now. We didn't, but sitting here today, we are probably one of the more diversified engineering firms that's out there. We do just about everything under the sun related to engineering, materials testing, survey, geotechnical, but we don't do architecture. So we're not licensed as AIAs. We're engineers. Yeah.
So then for him, what did he specialize in with these municipalities?
Generally, what municipalities needs are road, water, sewer, things like that.
Okay.
Good old municipal types of services. Yeah.
So, how has your role evolved over the time? I know we have Nick here.
We do.
Who I know the circle of life, as we see more summers, sometimes we need extra care. Is that what Nick does? Or Nick, what do you do?
Sure. Yeah, I'll jump in here. So I actually have two roles I get to play at Olsson.
Okay.
The first one is as an environmental engineer in our environmental infrastructure discipline. So I help our clients with everything from some environmental permitting to get their projects off the ground to some sustainability, climate consulting. And then I'm also our local area leader in our Lincoln office. So in that role, I help to build relationships with our clients and our community leaders, and also foster collaboration and engagement in our office. So
nice.
I've been at Olsson about 7 years. I've grown up here in Lincoln. I knew about Olsson, and when I had the opportunity to come over to Olsson, I was pretty excited about the opportunity to work at this firm.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. I love it.
And how many people do you guys have in Lincoln?
So in Lincoln, we have about 400 people.
Oh,
in
wow.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
And then in the state, we have about 900.
Wow.
Oh gosh, you have offices throughout the state, or
We do.
Throughout the country.
or throughout the country.
Yeah, we have
that's
employees in 32 different states in the across the
Jeez.
country.
Work in all 48 states in the continental U.S.
Oh, wow.
As an
Yeah.
engineer, do you have to be licensed in each state
Absolutely.
separately, like real estate we do? So okay, so
Absolutely.
you do. So you have
That's
people in
part
all
of the
those
reason we
states.
have employees in so many states, is it
Makes
sometimes
sense.
helps us to do work
Sure.
easier.
Yeah, so you're known nationally now. Wow, that was a big start from somebody just driving around Nebraska in small communities. Isn't it crazy how that
It
works?
really is.
Yeah.
So how has your what do you bring to the culture now today? Are you more like the do you have an official
I have the
relationship
best title ever.
officer?
Get this, Chief Relationship Officer.
I love that. You just get you can take people out for coffee at
Pretty much.
Starbucks.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe they need to golf. We can do that too. So,
There you go. That is the job to have, John. Good job.
It's pretty good. So I didn't start out that way though.
Sure.
I was in the beginning. I was
course.
out in the field watching them build things, and then in the beginning you do a lot with projects, you do a lot with things, right? But as time goes by, then you start working more with people. Nick's only been here 7 years. We've been working on him a lot longer than 7. He finally saw the light. So you think about recruiting, bringing people over, and then today in my role, it's kind of working more on the business strategy, growth, things of that nature.
So when you first came on, though, is this the job that you had when you first came on?
Oh, no, I was a resident project representative. So I was out in Valentine, Nebraska for 8 months, watching them build a wastewater treatment plant, getting my hands dirty.
Oh, good.
Working with contractors and just making sure that what they are building is what they're supposed to be building. So ensuring.
So I love companies where someone like you in your position now started, you have been hands-on from the bottom up. is how I would describe it. You know, that's always a wonderful thing. One of the biggest challenges I have now for the first time in my life working for a quote, quote, corporation is a gentleman that knows everything about what I do and has never done what I do. So he brings some great things to the table. There's some great collaboration, but there's sometimes where it's kind of like I have to back up and go, okay, hang on a minute. So tell me, when you were a realtor showing a home, how did you do that? Well, you know, so when you have somebody that started from the bottom and works all the way up, you know, you've seen all those levels. In my mind, I'm thinking you have. I don't know. You went, maybe you went straight from Valentine to golf full time. I don't know.
Absolutely not.
But there are some really good courses out there. I know, even though I don't play golf.
There are some good ones. Yeah. Yeah. So what you described, kind of this logical progression, I think of it as a ladder, right? I mean, you got to take each rung one at a time, and you pick up so much knowledge and so much wisdom, I think, that you can apply later in life. So, you know,
well, and it's so good starting out at the ground level, and you really have to work twice as hard because your name is on the building. So people are looking at you going, okay, let's see how hard this person's going to work. And you got to work twice as hard, because if you don't, then it's tough to kind of gain that respect and have people follow you when you get into that leadership role. I always told my son when we started our real estate business, and he was pretty young, but his job was shoveling up debris and taking it out to the dumpster. And he said, I hate doing this. Yep. Very good. Shovel up that stuff and get it out to the dumpster, because you got to start at the bottom, man. You have to know the work that goes into this before you understand taking over the company. And when you're asking somebody else to do that, you have to have done it yourself. You have to understand. You have to have worked that job. So that's awesome. So now, how long, what was the slope? What was the progression beyond that? So when you were in Valentine for several years and then came back to Lincoln?
Came back to Lincoln. So I got to work on some really cool, what I'd call legacy projects for the city of Lincoln. So back in, it's probably 1991, that's when Lincoln was going through their big water expansion. You've heard about Water 2.0.
Oh, yeah.
This would have been Water 1.0 when we're looking to expand capacity. There were things called horizontal collector wells. And we put one out on the island in the Platte River. And at the time, that was the single largest collector well in the United States. Oh, wow. So it's pretty cool to be part of a project.
Yeah,
like
no
that,
kidding.
You know?
Sure. Yeah.
I got to work on Haymarket Park, Antelope Valley project, and then the West Haymarket project around 2010. So
that would be cool. Just driving around town and you're up on the viaduct and you look over at Salt Duck Stadium and you go, yeah, I did that. I did that. I don't have that.
That's one of the best things about engineering, is that the things you do, you can go back and see, and you can see how it can change a community.
Exactly.
And when they stand the test of time too, because then you get to go, gosh, we did that 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Or is there still big projects that your dad did that are still out there?
Well, they flipped. I mean, now things have been flipped over 2 or 3 times because, it was so long ago.
Yeah, exactly. No. Well, we're going to need to go to a break here, and you're listening to 402 Business Insider. On the other side, I want to talk a little bit about scaling and how that's gone. We're going to go over 5 questions of different things that you've done with your business. So it'll kind of build from, at this point in time, you're probably having to hire some people that didn't go out to Valentine and work from the bottom up. So stick with us. We'll see you on the other side.
And we're back on the 402 Business Insider. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Nick Steinke and John Olson from Olson. And this segment is brought to us by Complete Family Dermatology and the UPS stores. Love the UPS stores. I've got to get down. I need to get down there because our old business card still has our time slot as 11 to noon. Yeah. And we're 10:30 to noon. So for those of you just tuning in, we've been on for a half an hour, right? But I haven't been handing out the business cards, so they probably didn't know to listen.
I always tell people when I hand them out.
But anyway.
Hey, we're lame.
Yes.
Our new show is.
And this segment is called 5 Takeaways. And this is brought to us by Nebraska Farmers Network. I absolutely love what these guys are doing. It is so cool. Buying up Nebraska farm ground and leasing it to Nebraska farmers and making sure that our land stays Nebraska owned. Yeah. What a great business. So in the 5 Takeaways segment, what we do is we just kind of give 5 pieces of advice. We ask some questions and we just kind of jump in and go, okay, what can we take from what you guys have learned at Olson that we can pass on to other business owners? So for you guys, the one thing I will say is, because I've been down to your offices and everybody is so nice and everybody seems to be happy and just, you guys have really built a culture down there, which is difficult to do. Everybody talks about building a culture, and I don't think most businesses understand how hard it is to build a culture and keep it. So what do you guys do when it comes to building a culture?
Yeah, that's a great question, because indeed, culture is, I think, the lifeblood of any company, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of your DNA. It's what people see in you. Like you made a comment about everyone being nice. I mean, that's true of not only employees, but also clients. And when I think about culture, I think, one thing that I think that has really stood out for Olsson, and I've been there, I guess, 36 years now. And I would tell you that when I started in 89, the culture was what it was. And today, now 36 years later, it's still very much the same. So what is it about that that's, stayed true, growing from 50 people to, what are we, 2,200 now?
Wow.
So, it's going to evolve a little bit, but I think by and large, it's very much the same culture. I think, we've always been a very transparent company. We pride ourselves on open communication. We value the employee big time.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some tenets. That's the very top tenet of the list, as employees first and foremost. But I think it's just trying to be, realize that we're all in this together. Okay. It's not an individual trying to do just one thing. It's a bunch of people coming together, try to keep the boat going in the same direction all at the same time.
Yeah.
And by and large, it's kind of hung together all these years.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
That's what we've always said at our marketing firm is we work as a team, we win as a team, we celebrate as a team. It's all about that ownership, that buy-in.
Yeah.
And that's all part of the culture. That is so important.
Well, and hire, like Tim said when he was in, Tim Kirkpatrick, hire for culture. You can train the other stuff. Now, not necessarily, you do not want to hire me to do engineering. I can.
Yeah, can you hire
probably,
me and Gary?
You
We'll do some
probably don't ever
engineering.
want to see me again. I don't know, but I know for sure you don't want to hire me because I'm not an engineer. But so you have a lot of engineers that are applying. I mean, I think you would look at how do they fit our culture. I think that's important. I see a lot of large companies that do that a little bit wrong, and they're going to hire by all these accomplishments and everything. They bring the person in and they do not fit the culture at all. I would think that'd be something. You're the local area leader. Are you involved in hiring at all, or is that something you guys talk about when you hire?
Yeah, I think so. And one term I heard recently that I've been thinking a lot about is compassionate leadership. And when I heard that, I was kind of trying to figure out, well, how does compassion play in here?
Right.
But I really think about the word respect. And one thing we do, and I've seen that since the day I joined, and I think John really exudes that, and just the way he carries that, personifies
Sure.
that, is respect is about treating people with respect, but it's also about holding them accountable in the organization. And that's a way to show people respect as well.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I think about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you have 2,200 employees and 100 of them are not producing, making mistakes all the time, and there's no consequences or nothing, I mean, that's not a good thing either, But I always think a good leader hires somebody that might be a little scary for them because they may know more or be better in a different area. That's always important too. I think you need to hire people that are stronger than you. And I see some leadership positions where they want to know more than everybody else, make sure that they're at the top of that ladder in the hierarchy. And that doesn't always work either. I mean, obviously you're doing something right. You have 2,200 employees.
We sure try hard.
Yeah.
Now, it's not to say we haven't made mistakes. We
Of
are
course.
a learning organization. We will
Yeah.
try new things. We will
Yeah.
make mistakes, but we pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. So,
Sure. My dad's sayings were measure twice, cut once. And the other ones is it's not the mistakes you make in life, it's what you do about them. And without mistakes, you don't grow. So
Yeah, and a lot of times it's the mistakes that make you stronger, make you better,
Mhm.
faster. I mean, you need those mistakes to figure out what not to do going forward.
well, and Travis, I always like what you say with transformation marketing. When one of the team members makes a mistake and it's a big one, and you have a client that's like, hey, we may pull this, huge, you could
Yeah.
lose a huge client. You're
Oh,
sitting there
yeah.
going, you take the blame. You're like, okay, and then you never throw it off on your team. I think that's huge too. I know just flower shop, the type thing we'd have at first when I had it, if there was a complaint, it would always have to come to me. And then it's like, look, I want to empower all of you to handle this. If I have a complaint and I call and there's a problem, I don't want to hold till the next person up the ladder gets on and then the next person. Just deal with it. Here's the parameters we work in, but deal with it. Makes a big difference.
Yeah. So when it comes to 2,200 employees, I can't imagine trying to manage that type of a staff. I mean, at our largest, we had 14 employees. That was a nightmare, right? The people were great, but it's a lot of work,
Sure.
And I think 2,200 employees, there has to be a system that you guys have built or purchased or whatever it is? How do you manage that size of a group?
Yeah, I think the way we wanted to tackle this one today is to talk about our organizational structure. And, you heard John allude to our tenants, and a couple of other tenants that we have are, as our clients and their needs evolve, so do we. So as we've grown geographically and in terms of services, we've got to think about that. Another tenet of ours is keeping the decision-making closest to those people working with the clients.
Bingo.
There we go. So as we've grown, as we've looked for more opportunities for our employees, and as we've had them with these larger clients that we've started to work with, we've kind of needed to realign, follow those markets and industries in order to really set our employees up for success.
Oh, very good.
And that's why you're growing, because you take care of it. I mean, I got a call. One of my fun texts today was, "Hey, our flooring's coming up. We've been trying to deal with the builder. They're not doing anything with it. Da, 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 da. They want us to call the contractor. We called the contractor. Da, da." So I hopped on the phone and went straight to the builder and said, "This is, you know what, and this needs to be taken care of, and exactly how you're going to do it. Quit passing these people along. Let's get a decision made. So we're meeting over there tomorrow. We're going to take care of it, get the decision done," because it's that constant passing on that it ruins your brand. Or definitely damages your brand, right? For those of us that now know, wow, that builder is working that way, whatever. I'm going to touch real quick on another thing you said earlier, John. I was going to comment on it, where you said in business how you take all those steps, right? You start at the bottom or wherever you start and you go up those steps. It's so important. I worked with a builder when I first started, and it was a newer builder. And I'm learning too at the time, right? Because I went from owning a flower shop to real estate. But I quickly realized, okay, you haven't started here and gone all the way up. Like, you went up 3 stairs and then jumped to step 24, and all these are missing. And there were so many different lines of communication, processes, standards, everything that weren't working. So as you scale, you've got to keep all those things in place and make sure you're putting people in the proper places. I think that'd be a huge thing for sure.
It is. Yeah. I mean, that's a kind of internal infrastructure is kind of what you're talking about, right? The things you use in-house to deliver your product. And I think is, you can get into some softwares and it'll take you for a while, but at some point you're going to have to reinvest and up all that. And that gets hard for some companies that are smaller, because that's a lot of capital you need to kind of up your game there.
I'm working with Pete and Deb that when you turn 65, you never have to learn any new software. The government just gives you a pill and you're done.
I like that.
I'd
Like
sign
that?
up for that.
I wouldn't take a pill from
They're
the
not really
government.
on board. Well, I know I'm not. Well, maybe it could be a shot or something. A drink, like a
Even
shot.
better.
No, not a shot. But anyway, that is true, though. It is so important to have. I mean, when I merged with Tyrrell's Flower Shop in Lincoln, I bought the largest flower shop in Lincoln. We merged April 1st of 2001. I'm the guy on the front page of the newspaper at the end of May with Alltel going, "Stephanie Johans, I love you. I've sat with you at events, but I am so angry because what's going on here?" Well, that was the day that Alltel took over, and they brought an antiquated computer system from what was being used. And it was an absolute nightmare. And nobody wanted to own up to it. And that was the big problem. It's like, I get that you're a huge corporation, but somebody's got to own up to what happened here.
Yeah. Help me out a little bit, right?
Oh, it was unbelievable. There's a meat packing company that the IRS had closed down 3 years earlier, that they're somewhere down at the switch box office or whatever took over 950 messages for flower orders that we never got. And the IRS wouldn't release. Joy. You never know.
Yikes. So when it comes to managing talent, right? Because there are 2,200 people. You have a lot of people. How do you manage talent at such a massive scale? Is there a trick?
We have a lot of our growth that's happened organically. And I will tell you, I think we have the best walk-on program in the state with our internship program. Here in Lincoln this summer, we had over 30 interns, and company-wide, we had almost 200 interns.
Wow.
And so we bring in people, we train them. We have great leadership development for our upcoming leaders and managers in the company to help them work with that younger staff. And so I think that's a critical component to our growth and our success, is that organic growth in our internship program.
So is that something you do like with the university? Because you have to have an engineering degree to be an engineer, right?
It's interesting you ask. People talk about that, but we have people that used to work at the Journal Star or the Omaha World Herald. We have marketers, we have recruiters. So we have a lot of people that do a lot of different things, not just engineering, and we recruit interns for all of those things.
Oh, wow.
Which makes sense. Yeah. I'd say another thing would be your title is local area leader. I bet you have more but then one of you across the country, I would think, in some of these other states, you'd have somebody there.
Yeah, I think
running
that's
to us, and
part of
they're
the reason for that is
Sure.
that we have that local geographic
Yeah.
presence, those connections
Yeah.
locally, so that we can help to identify that talent.
Yeah,
pool.
it's really, you don't want somebody in Arizona going, well, call Nick Steinke up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Call-
he's a
call this
Southeast
guy in
graduate.
Lincoln.
He'll know what's going on.
Yeah.
I love it.
But on that though, do you take kids like right out of high school into internship programs, or because a lot of kids these days they're going to college, they have no idea what they want to study, and half of the time they blow through 1 year, 2 years of a lot of money, and then they drop out because they don't know what their passion is.
Yeah.
So do you take kids right out of high school?
We don't typically for internships, but
Okay.
one thing we do is we do allow kids to come in, high school kids, college kids. They want to learn a little bit about what engineering is. We had the mayor's daughter come in recently, and she's looking at civil engineering, and she kind of wanted to know, well, what is civil engineering? And when I went through engineering school, I remember thinking the same thing, like, what is this career path? So we can have these young people, men and women, come in and learn from our technical experts and our engineers. Hey, these are the different pathways you could follow. And sometimes you see the light go on and they go, wow, I didn't realize that's something I could do in the engineering pathway.
Yeah.
Right. Or vice versa.
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah. Yeah, like when my daughter came back from DU and she knew she wanted to be a neurosurgeon. You know, I'm like, hey, here's my buddy. Call him up. He's like, yeah, she can go with me. I'm gonna tell you, for the 3 weeks she's with me, if I get called into Bryan Hospital at 2 a.m. or Omaha or wherever it is, she's going with. At the end of 3 weeks, she's like, Dad, it's so cool when you see inside somebody's brain. It's just absolutely amazing. I don't ever want to do that job. She's like, I want to have kids, because she want to have kids, have a family, and she's like, it just wouldn't work. So that was cool for her. I think shadowing is often overlooked, but it is a really, really good idea to do, so you kind of know what you want to go into.
Well, and I think back when I was in high school, I wanted to be a police officer. That's what I wanted to do. And then I went on a ride along.
Whoosh. all synced
Boring,
off on that
right?
one.
Because you go watch Cyperco or something like that, and you go, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Must have
And
been
then,
a slow night. Though,
yeah.
huh?
Oh man, it was.
We live in a safe community.
Really?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So how about managing talent at scale?
Yeah, I would say, it really kind of goes back to the same theme here. As we have gotten larger, we are recruiting that pool of interns. But I would also add that when it comes to identifying people that have some experience and have some expertise, that's kind of where that culture fit comes in. So when we're looking at somebody, they have the technical skills, but are they going to be able to come in and blend well with our culture? And to me, what culture means, we grade everybody in the company on 4 factors. One of them is personal effectiveness. One of them is teamwork and leadership. One of them is client service, and the other is firm-wide accountability. And they're all weighted equally. So when we look at people coming in, we think of all of those factors. And basically the way I look at it is, are you going to be a team player, and are you going to lift up the people around you? Those are the people we look for.
Yeah.
Bingo.
And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
crucial.
Well, you do
Absolutely
it well,
crucial.
or you wouldn't have 2,200 employees. I mean, so that's great.
The last one is balancing growth while maintaining quality. And that's something engineering got to kind of be right on your quality.
You
There's
think?
no gray area.
Yeah, no, you especially if you're designing a bridge or a
Yeah,
building, right?
yeah,
It kind of needs
exactly.
to work, right?
Right.
No, that's the struggle is real there, right? Because you can grow too fast, because what you see when you grow too fast is you will see quality suffer, and we've seen that a little bit. We've grown at times a little bit too much. We feel it. Our infrastructure can't keep up. Our product might slip just a little bit, and we hear about that from our clients. So we know that it does matter. So we kind of keep track of that rate of growth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and checking in with your clients and what you're doing for
Oh,
them, and
absolutely.
listening.
Oh, yeah.
That pivot when you need to make things correct is
Yeah.
also a great, big, huge deal as well.
yeah,
For sure. How have you seen so computers, right? Now that we have computers, I mean, originally everything had to be done by hand, correct?
Mhm.
So now computers do so much of that. A lot of that's really, really great. Some of it's kind of not so great. I'll share with you in my business what I see. You'll look at these plans that you get for somebody wanting to build their house, and somebody's sitting on the computer. They've like, oh look, we can put this roof in right here. Look at this little neat thing, and I kind of look at it and I'm like, yeah, well, that looks like a wart. This over here, like I mean, I deal with buyers all the time. That's not going to be a time. Yeah, but that's really cool. They're doing it in California, and that I'm like, that's okay. We can show it to the clients. And like, what is because it's so easy on the computer to change everything where it never used to
It
be
is,
that way.
yeah.
Is that a problem? I mean, there's probably things about it like great in engineering, but trusting on all of that all the time can be a little bit dangerous. I mean, I use AI in my business, and man, I review it always. We're held strictly Bob Evans, a friend of mine, but I don't ever want to go up in front of his committee at the NREC, right?
No,
The
you
commission,
don't.
no. But like just Facebook posts in our industry is huge, and they can be done wrong. And AI is supposed to know the rules, but if you don't watch what they're doing, and I would imagine even in your business, someone's got to look that over when it's all done and get the eyes on it of saying, wait.
That's exactly right. I think what the computers do is it pulls you into something very small and very narrow. So before we're going to issue a job, it's good to print it all out, just step back from it, maybe go out in the field and look at what you've done.
There you go.
Out in the field and say, hey, does this is this going to work?
Well, I called this company. I said, come out and look at the house you finished. I mean, there's a lot of great things about it, but tell me what you're really thinking. He's standing there and he's looking up at the roof line, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's really weird. And then he goes, that looks so much better on the computer than it does in real life, but it'd be a huge thing. And you working a lot with the EPA, isn't that something you said you that's a big issue too?
When we have to, yes.
Yeah. I know, right? When you have to, man, the EPA can put a real
Oh yeah,
that's a good project and ruin it in a heartbeat.
One thing I wanted to add about systems as we've scaled here is I've heard this term, the ambidextrous mind. So as we've gotten larger, how can we keep that autonomy and that kind of small business entrepreneurial mindset while also acknowledging that as we get bigger, we need to have these systems in place. So we've worked pretty well so far to kind of try to stay in that middle zone of having these systems, but making sure the systems are always supporting our employees and their clients.
Wow.
Nice.
Perfect. I like that.
Exactly.
I like that. Well, we have a break coming up here. So let's run to that real quick. This has been 5 Takeaways, sponsored by Nebraska Farmers Network. NFN, go check them out. Google it. They do a lot more than just land. They do some really auctions. It's a really cool company. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, talking with Nick Steinke and John Olson with Olson, and we will be right back after this break. We're back on the 402 Business Insider. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish. We're talking with Nick Steinke and John Olson from Olson. And this segment is Unexpected Impact. It's things that happen in your business. Could be good, could be bad. Just something totally unexpected that maybe changed a direction within your company. So what is something did you guys have any unforeseen event? I know COVID's the slam dunk, but I imagine COVID probably didn't have much impact on engineering. Bridges still need to get built. And was there anything specific that pops
it would have
your
had
head?
to have an impact on all your employees. I mean, they weren't coming in. And...
we got a long list of things we learned from, but let's talk about the recession. Right?
Yeah.
2010 recession.
There you go. Sure.
I'm not sure anybody really saw that coming, but that had a huge impact on Olson. I think at the time we were 600-700 people. So we were mid-size. But as it all played out, we really figured out who our friends were, because when the going gets tough, some of your clients are going to run and hide, which is fine. They have to. They've got to run a business. But there's other ones, like for us, we were super lucky to have the West Haymarket redevelopment going on at this time. And that project really helped Olson get through this challenging time. It was a huge project that reshaped the landscape, as you know,
right
in the Haymarket.
Yeah.
It allowed us, and we had 5 or 6 other firms working with us to kind of figure out all that infrastructure, but that was hugely important.
Yeah.
So we realized.
By the way, bravo.
Well, thank you. No,
I love it down there.
So do we. It's nice to have our building down there too,
kidding.
to look out the window and see every day that we got to be a part of something really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thinking back to that time, I think for us as a company, it's just acknowledging the cold, hard truths that were going on then and there. We knew it was probably going to be a sustained period of down. So, you got to react to that. So salaries were frozen, more so at the upper level. We really wanted to protect kind of the folks around the battlefield, the people doing the good, hard work. So they were protected, but there had to be a few layoffs, right? But we tried to really minimize that. We didn't want to get into the bone. We wanted to protect the culture and the main core of Olson, but just deal with the situation that we had. So we didn't grow much.
But not stick your head in the sand and pretend like it wasn't. Ignore what's going on around you. We were talking about that off air, Nick, on another subject, but and that happens sometimes with companies where they get stuck and they just leave, or you can't get them to call you back, all sorts of things, so you get through it the best that you can and keep a forward focus. You're going to get through it.
And I think the other thing we learned too, when times are tough, people get nervous, right? The employee base, we're an employee-owned company, right? So most everybody's got a little piece of the rock there, but just a lot of communication, frequent communication, transparency. You just look people in the eyes and just keep it real. I think that meant a lot to people at the time because we wanted them to stay.
Well, and everybody's living through it, right? I mean, you all live here in Lincoln. You have homes. You know what's going on. It's a tough time for everyone, so everybody's in that. We recently had an insurance agent come to talk to our sales meeting. I mean, like, good Lord, what were you thinking? Because right now, insurance is a nightmare in real estate, especially with roofs. Nebraska insurance rate highest in the nation. So we have a builder that can build in Omaha. Picture him building where he can just look right across the river to Council Bluffs, build the exact same home in Council Bluffs, same square footage, same footprint, everything the same. And the insurance in Council Bluffs on a 3,500 square foot house is going to be about $2,000. Here it's $5,000. So insurance right now is a tough thing for us because if we're getting to a point where roofs will be depreciated like a vehicle.
Yeah.
And so that's tough for people, but you get a first time home buyer, right? And then the roof is 11 years. That's just past the 10, which is a nightmare. Now it's 7. So this poor guy comes in and he's talking to all of us. He's like, are there any questions? And I'm like, oh, Lord, I hope you brought something to cover yourself. And of course, there were a ton of questions. And finally, he goes, okay, one thing you all have to understand is that every insurance agent most likely also lives in a home, and we need insurance. We're experiencing this. So I think sometimes in business, when you have an unexpected impact, you're sitting there thinking, always want to focus on that fact. We're living this too. Let's get through it. Everybody can work together to get through it. And that's what needs to happen. Keep a forward focus, take care of what you can, and deal with what you have. So many times it's like you want to make, it's possible that you want to make decisions based on, well, if this happens, this will be that, but you got to deal with what you have right now.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. I mean, that was an example that was kind of a tough one to deal with, but
I'll bet
COVID was the other one that came along. And Nick, you were around for that. You got to see how Olsson dealt with that.
Yeah. And I would add, before we pivot to COVID, we're not here to give investment advice, but one thing I came in hearing about from 2008 and 10 is, the diversification of the portfolio to manage risk. And it seemed like that's something that Olsson learned from that lesson and has done a good job of, again, diversifying our portfolio of services and clients.
Yeah, sure.
So I come into Olsson, we're a really relationship-based culture and environment. And it wasn't but a year and kind of COVID hit. And I was just absolutely struck with how, again, I'll go back to that term, compassionate leadership. John alluded to this with constant communication, not really holding back from people and saying, we've got the answers or we're not going to share with you what's going on, but more of a kind of a regular dialogue about, here's what we're thinking. We're monitoring this. We want to help you, set you up for success and continue to provide our services to our clients. And we actually, in a lot of ways, had a pretty good year too coming out of COVID.
We did, yeah, because revenue didn't dip a lot, but expenses went way down because nobody was going anywhere.
Yeah,
right.
No coffee
stopped, and
sure,
yeah,
sure. I love that thought process of what do you need to succeed to people that are working with you and on your team. That's a lot of businesses do not.
They don't have that.
Do you have what you need to succeed? I would always start my reviews with employees with that first. And they were very forthcoming of, no, you need this done, but you haven't really. I mean, I learned, surprise, I micromanaged a lot of stuff. And of course I had a smaller business. I think the most employees I ever had was 31, but still, it's easy. And I was in a design business as well, completely different than yours in a way, but I manufactured everything I made. And so it was hard to give that up a little bit, gosh, if John's wife gets this and I didn't make it, she likes what I made, is that going to be a problem? You learn, but man, and asking my employees that really pivoted for me in the mid 90s. And we made a lot of decisions differently based upon finding out, do you have what you need to succeed? So I love that approach, which is huge. And diversification, again, really huge, right? We were focusing a lot on just daily work. I diversified in the mid 90s to go, I want more corporate business, also, as well as just the residential business, so that we were diversified. So that really helped. Wonderful. Now, pivot closer to COVID, I was kind of getting to where, I don't really want to do this anymore. I want to be a realtor or whatever. I had really gotten into a lot of the corporate work, which nailed me when COVID hit, because we lost like 72% of our business overnight. And I mean, universities, Lincoln Industries, tons of the big companies that did a ton of business with it, that were all like, we're canceling all of our events just till the end of the year to be safe. This is March. Wow.
Yeah.
Unexpected things can really knock you upside the head.
Well, and sometimes those massive, when you get categorized in something very specific,
a niche,
boy, when it goes sideways, it all goes sideways.
Yeah. So diversification, that's amazing. Very, very, very smart.
Yeah. I remember when Coca-Cola had the bears. Remember the bears? I thought that was the dumbest campaign I'd ever seen. And I'd always complain about it. And I don't remember if it was my son or my daughter. They go, well, would you want that Coca-Cola as your ad agency's client? And I go, no, I would have to hire 20 people. And then if the client goes away, I would have to fire 20 people because we're just not equipped for it, you know, and that's when you get so focused on one little area, boy, when it's good, baby, it's good. Yeah. And when it's bad, whew, sometimes it's not survivable.
Yeah. And you need to see when that downturn comes, you got to react quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope doesn't go real far.
Yes. No, it doesn't.
True.
And if you've gotten an organization where you don't have good teamwork and collaboration internally and everyone's kind of looking out for themselves, that's not going to work very well.
Yeah.
We've been talking about our tenants. Our first one is we put our employees first. What happens when we do that? Then they deliver for our clients. And that's why we were able to come out of that in pretty good shape.
Oh, that's awesome.
Bingo.
That's awesome. Well, we have another break coming up here, so we're going to run to that real quick. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, you're listening to the 402 Business Insider, talking with Nick Steinke and John Olson from Olson, and a lot more questions coming up. That segment was sponsored by, I forgot to do that, the Lincoln Airport, James Arthur Vineyards, and Lincoln Coin and Bullion. So we're going to run to a break, and we will be back right after this.
Welcome back to the 402 Business Insider. Gary Tharnish here with Home Design Real Estate Group. My co-host, Travis Filing with Transformation Marketing, and we are talking with John Olson and Nick Steinke with Olson today. And before we head to that, I want to tell you that this segment is sponsored by Lincoln Chamber of Commerce and Integrated Behavioral Health Services, which always sounds like someplace I need to go. Anyway, both of those are really great companies. If you are a business owner out there, you're an entrepreneur, maybe you have a small company, just yourself even, or 3 or 4 people, or whatever, don't feel like you're out there in the ocean all by yourself.
Yeah.
Join the chamber, network with a group of like-minded individuals. Just don't ever feel isolated. That can happen a lot in entrepreneurship. So,
it is. It's so important because it's, when we joined the chamber, for transformation marketing, I'm not a networker. I'm like, man, do I really need to go network? And then I started doing it. You get to know people, right, and you get to talk about business. You get to talk about even some concerns, things that you're going through, and other chamber members they're awesome, man. They'll help you through it. So I know you guys are members of the chamber as well and have been for quite some time. So yeah, join the chamber. It's awesome. This
segment is called This Needs an Adjustment. So it's sponsored by Ascend Chiropractic. So sometimes our bodies need an adjustment as well. And so
I need one now.
Yeah,
I need one
that's
now.
right. You had a bad morning when you woke up. There you go.
And then I had to change my wife's flat tire today. On top of it. So when your back's hurting.
So she actually had a spare, because a lot of cars don't now.
Oh, yeah, she had a spare.
It's a whole new thing.
Yeah, she pointed it out.
Yeah,
it's there.
She knew right where I was.
Go changing.
Go to it, Travis.
Travis needs an adjustment.
I love that. Well, Brian's going to be on here pretty soon.
Yes, he
from
is.
Ascend Chiropractic, so that will be great. But John, Nick, in this segment, we're going to talk about some unexpected impacts, something that happened that was unexpected, out of the blue type thing, an adjustment. Sorry. And what might that be for you guys? Something that happened.
Yeah, I think we can pivot from our earlier discussion on COVID, right? So we made an adjustment. We allowed people to work from home. We created a lot of flexibility. But as we kind of came out of that phase, we needed to kind of reevaluate what was working and what was not working. So you've been hearing us talk a lot about our tenants. And again, we exist for our employees. So as we looked at bringing back people into the office, we thought to ourselves, well, we want our employees to be successful and we want our clients to thrive. We hold our employees accountable and they take care of our clients. So how can we create the most flexibility to allow all our employees to basically operate in whatever way is most successful for them, as long as they continue to do the things that they need to do to collaborate with their team, to take care of their clients, and to provide the financial returns we're looking for. So, we allow people to work fully remote. We allow people to work in a hybrid environment. We of course like people to be in the office too, because we do think, especially for our younger employees, that's a great way to mentor and develop, right? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, is it tough to manage people? Because some people can work from home, some people can't. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't do it. I'll find something better to do every time.
Yeah.
Is it tough to manage?
Well, I would say it can be, but if you hold people accountable and you're transparent about what you expect of them, then you can kind of mitigate the how painful that can be.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I could work from home. I can do whatever I want, really. Yeah, I'm a 1099.
It's a gift. It really is.
Yes,
My wife can work from home.
somehow everybody points out I'm successful in spite of myself. But anyway, my thing about working from home, because I mean, I can work from home every day. It's a wonderful thing. One is that I squirrel a lot. Like, oh, there's my drums, there's my piano, I'm off doing that. But the bigger thing for me is that I love being in the office, because if I have a question for you in title, I can walk around the corner and you're right there and I can deal with it right then. I don't have to send an email and wait. So I often think, I have friends that work from home still, and they sit there. Sometimes their biggest argument is when I need a question answered from John Doe, I send him an email and I'm waiting and waiting, so the communication is different. I love being in the office. I can get up and walk over to your office. You know, I start with, hey, can I interrupt you? I'm sorry, I already did. Hey, so here's my question. But I like that part. And it is different for everybody. There's like, my daughter does hybrid. She works at UNL and she hybrids and absolutely loves it. She goes, I love when I go into the office, there's things she needs to do there, or collaborate with somebody in person, but then also being able to work from home 3 days a week to the next, she absolutely loves. I know I help a lot of people at Fiserv find homes, because Fiserv's brought everybody back, which was very interesting. You know, over there on 13th and Old Cheney, they had ended up, they would kind of work from home before it was a thing with COVID. So they had people all over the country, and then they just decided everybody needs to be here. And part of it was the communication challenge, the time between being able to get an answer, or walk, if I can walk into an office, in your case, maybe a team of engineers, now at least one of them I can talk to with what I need, makes a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, we talked earlier about culture, right? It's hard to have culture if people aren't together.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. That's another thing I think can be huge.
And something unique about Olsson is we don't have any doors on any of our offices, right? So when people are in the office, they can walk around, they can talk to anybody they want at any time. We want people having those conversations.
Interesting.
So there are no doors. Yeah.
Because I'm the loudest guy in the building. My door is actually soundproof, not so people can't hear what I'm saying, because I don't care. It's not that important, but just so people can't hear me, because they literally hear me on both ends of the building.
Well, we'd support you working from home, Travis.
I love that. That's great.
And I would get nothing done.
Well, can you share percentages? How many people work from home full time? Is it a lot, or what have you found? I'd imagine it changes over time too.
Yeah, I think, another interesting thing to consider is seasons of life, right? People in different phases of their life need different things. And so allowing that flexibility allows for that. I don't really have those percentages readily available, but I'd say probably half of our employees in Lincoln are in pretty regular. Maybe another 20% are kind of hybrid, and then maybe the remainder are kind of more remote.
Yeah, so
those last two might flip a little bit. But I like to think about it in that kind of phases of life thing, because again, if you've got small kids or an elderly parent, or you've got something else going on yourself, that you just might be in a phase of life where you need to kind of have a little bit more flexibility. Doesn't mean you're going to do that forever.
Sure.
But it's nice to be able to offer that flexibility.
Which is nice.
In this really tight, talent market right now, offering that flexibility is, I think, critical for us to kind of retain and attract talent.
Sure. Yeah. Or if somebody has surgery and the spouse comes home and they need help for the next 5 days, and it isn't that they're going to focus on them constantly, but if they need water or they need help getting to the bathroom, you're working from home, you can help with that. Yeah. It's kind of a cool thing. Really.
It is.
But for people who have a hybrid, they have to have their own space. Do you guys have general spaces, or does everybody have their own space? Like working from home, going to the office, because that could add up, especially with as many employees as you guys have. You could have to have a massive building for people who only use it 10 or 20 or 30% of the week.
Yeah. So over the last year or so, we've been transitioning to a little bit more hoteling space. So if you're in the office so many days a week, you get a dedicated space. If you're more hybrid, hey, we want you to be in the office anytime you want to come in here, but you might just not have a dedicated space. So that allows us to make use of our space in a little bit more.
That makes sense.
That's how we
that
are.
Could be very expensive.
Yeah, that's how we are at the office too. Like, I have an office actually with a window, which is great, but not great because I squirrel. Like, look at that. But it's the same thing. So some people that, realtors they're just going to come in and do a little bit of paperwork and need to chat with the broker and then sit down and do something. There's all sorts of spaces where they can do that. But if you need an office and you're coming in, you can get one that's based on the same thing. How often do you come in and need it? So it's kind of hybrid in the office as well, basically, right?
And I would imagine, though, the ability to manage people working from home when you're moving into a new state or city or area or something like that, kind of have to work from home because I can't go rent a building, or maybe you do. I don't know. Does that make it easier sometimes?
It can. I mean, we found that, like, especially in the large metropolitan areas, Denver, Phoenix, it takes a long ways to get across town. So working from home means probably more in the metro areas than it might in a Lincoln, where your commute time's a lot less.
Yeah, that's very true.
But I mean, at the end of the day, people is our single largest challenge, finding enough people to grow the business.
Yeah.
So anything we can do to keep retention or improve on recruitment's a big
You and
deal.
every other business owner we have in here.
And
Is
I
that
couldn't
right?
imagine.
All of
I
them.
mean,
Yeah.
you guys have kind of been on a rocket ship growth wise. I mean, if you think 50 people in 1990, 89, 90 to, what did you say, 1,600, 2,200?
2020.
And I
2200.
think it was about 1,300 in 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
because I was
just-
going to say when we chatted earlier in 2010,
Okay.
you were talking. You said, didn't you say
Or
you had like
600,
600 or
yeah.
700? I'm like, wow, now you have 2,200. That's some serious growth.
Have you guys bought into other firms?
We've probably bought 15 firms over the last 25 years. you know,
Okay.
But that,
Smart way to do it.
yeah, I mean, that helps like if you're moving into a new geography where,
Right.
where you don't have a brand and you don't have relationships. If you find a firm that's been there for 30 years, boom,
Right.
you've got all that.
Yep, all the local relationships.
Plus
are
you have,
established.
you have clients built in, you have
Yeah.
employees built in. You don't
Yeah.
have to go find engineers. Now you just have to come in. Do you have a specific team that goes in to kind of set up for your culture and kind of get them to understand this is how we roll, this is how we run a business?
We kind of do. It's a little soft some days, but there's a handful of people that do a lot of that
Sure.
day in and day out. But that's kind of fun because you get to assess culture of these other firms, find out if it's going to work. Sometimes it doesn't, so you don't do the deal. But
Yeah. My nephew did that for Huddle. And like when
Okay.
they bought in London, he went over there and I think they had 3 employees and they built it to 45 before they left. But that was a big factor, was to have somebody that has been in the culture a long time to go over and to establish that culture.
Yeah.
And which is real challenging to do in a different country.
Oh, I'll bet.
Right.
I'll
You
bet.
know?
Or do you guys have any foreign
He's like
offices?
tea and crumpets.
we do not.
That's got to be a whole new set
Oh.
of, just because you think electricity is different. And
Oh,
I mean, everything has
insurance. Yeah, there's all kinds of things
Yeah.
that come into play
Oh.
that you got to figure
Yeah.
out. So
My friends that are professors at UNL in engineering, they travel a lot to the other countries and work with them and see what their processes are like and different things like
Okay.
as they educate students who may end up doing that. So it's
to be. All right. Well, we got a break coming up. Travis Filing, Gary Tharnish, talking with Nick Steinke and John Olson from Olson. And one more segment coming up right after this, and we'll be back.
Welcome back to the 402 Business Insider. Thank you for sticking with us through this break. This is our last segment. I'm Gary Tharnish, my co-host Travis Filing. Today we've been talking with John Olson and Nick Steinke from Olson. And in this final segment, so Olson, I'm sure you figured if you've been listening, but if you're just tuning in, is an engineering firm, correct? So let's get that out right away. And anyway, a good question for you that I'd love to answer is, where does Olson see the biggest opportunities in engineering right now? Are there just big opportunities that pop up in engineering, or you're going to build a bridge in China, or what's up?
Not in China, but probably here in Nebraska, we'll be doing
Nice.
some of that. So, everyone's talking a lot about AI, and I think we're looking at that too, thinking about how that's going to drive the delivery of engineering services and also how it affects our internal operations. But I think we shouldn't lose sight of the bread and butter, nuts and bolts of what we need in all our communities. Transportation as a service, right? We've just renewed Lincoln on the Move here in Lincoln, which is, I think, great for our community, the city of Lincoln.
Definitely.
Water, so water resource availability, water quality is a big thing, right? So here in Lincoln, again, water 2.0 and the vision to make sure that we have that second source of water. Great to see. But when we think about AI and the data centers that drive AI, data centers are spending about $500 billion constructing this year. So that is a thing. But what I think is one of the most exciting things happening in the engineering industry is what's happening in that power and energy space. We are seeing growth, we are seeing change, and we're kind of along for the ride and excited to see where it takes us.
Yeah, AI is so interesting, and it's going to be, it's been around forever, really, right? But the Pandora's box has been open now. It's going to see, I'm writing a book, and I write a book.
Coloring book
I
or
talk and think. And you should see my drawing. No, not a coloring book, but you should see how unorganized it is in my laptop. So I just dumped everything into Chat GPT, and I talk to Chat GPT when I drive, and it organizes into my book with my thoughts. But it's a little weird the other day when I'm saying, hey, Chat GPT, how are you today? And it comes back with, I'm doing good, Gary. How's your back feeling today? And I'm like, how do you know I have a bad back? I've never mentioned I have a bad back. I maybe typed it somewhere, but anyway, it's a little odd. But it's going to affect all of our businesses and see how you use it. But
sooner or later.
yeah. So we're friends with Pam Dingman. I've known Pam forever. So now I'll drive along and my daughter will be like, oh, another sexy bridge. And I'm like, and then we're like driving through the state of New York, which does not have a lot of sexy bridge. She's like, pull over. I got to get a picture of this for Pam. And I'm like, oh my God. It's an interesting thing, but it is so true. We all need that, right? I mean, you guys have done great, I think. I remember that whole water thing where we were almost out of water. Do you remember that? What was that, like 3 years? I can't remember when it was, but it was a huge scare, I thought.
Yeah, we've had a couple episodes like that.
Have there been? The one was when the dam burst, I know, on the big ice thing. Remember that?
Yeah,
Isn't that when we were
by Niobrara, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it affected our water for sure, right? Didn't we have both were down for just a little bit?
I think some of the well field got whacked.
Yeah.
Some of the things on the island even. So
Engineering's important.
Absolutely.
Math is important. I just hate even having to say that, but math. I love math.
Engineering is way more than math. It's way, it's way more attractive than that.
I'll bet it is. Yeah. So what are the big things in engineering? Math, you got to think. Geometry's got to be huge.
I think you got to be able to just be a good human being. I mean, the math is one thing, okay?
Yeah.
But how we try to be different is through the relationships that we have with the clients, the journey we take them on over the life of a project. Math is a given. That you got to have.
Yeah, right.
The other firms got math. It's the other things I think that
what sets you apart.
It sets you apart.
Yeah. Well, your tenants. I mean, when you go through that, those 4 tenants that you have as your company are huge.
They've served us very well. They came out, I don't know, 10 years ago, and we've kept them as they are, maybe added one along the way. So they've stood the test of time.
Yeah.
100%.
So again, right back to what we started with, it's relational.
It is.
At the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
I won't tease you about math anymore, John.
Well, you can, but just know it's a lot more than that. So.
Okay, I do.
I mentioned this to you earlier. 96% of our work in 2024 came from repeat clients. So I think that's just a testament to a lot of firms out there have some technical capability. But, when people trust you and they want to work with you and they like what they're doing and you get to help them improve their communities, that's a pretty special feeling.
That's huge. I tell my mentees that a lot in real estate where I go, you don't need a 5,000 email list or anything. You need 25 people that no matter where they hear it or what they hear when they say, I'm moving, they're like, you've got to use Gary Tharnish for your realtor. He's fantastic.
You'll have fun.
That 25 honestly, that is a huge thing.
So I was walking through, because I was flying over the weekend, I was walking through Midway and I saw your banner hanging up in the airport.
Digital banner, or was
no?
It
was a physical banner. It was just kind of hanging, I think, in A or B concourse. And I thought, oh man, that's cool. And then I thought, crap, are they going to do a bunch of work to this airport? Because I don't.
We'd love to. Give us a chance.
I'd love somebody to fix this
like, hopefully.
It definitely needs some help.
Yeah.
So, but I thought that was cool because it's like, oh wow, that's cool. We're talking to those guys this week. But yeah, I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, 30 years ago, I never thought we'd be advertising in major airports across the country. So
isn't that something?
That's amazing.
I bet you've seen so much growth. That just has to be a lot some days, I would think.
I mean, growth is interesting. I mean, we don't grow for growth's sake. So the reason we grow is to create interesting and more challenging projects for our people to work on.
Cool.
People don't want to do the same thing day in and day out. They want to be challenged. So a growing business allows people to do things they haven't done before.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's fun.
All right. So I always have the crazy out of left field question, but do you guys watch the engineering disasters shows on TV? Do you guys do any of that?
I think I have one.
Yeah.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Because I have the most, because I used to be a professional pilot, and I have the most extensive aviation disaster library you've ever seen. Right. And some of my friends go, this is grim. It's like, you know how much I learned from watching other people's mistakes? And so I love the engineering disaster show. And I thought, I wonder if these guys watch that. I don't know.
The History Channel's got some really good things, that being one of them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I think it's fascinating.
In kind of a sad way.
Oh,
man, that's a big failure.
But that's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yes, exactly. Mistakes.
Yeah.
Mistakes you make is what you do about them.
Yeah.
And there's a YouTube channel too that talks about engineering, and it's all just civil engineering, but how they build buildings and how they make changes. And it's pretty fascinating. What you guys do is, to me, it's almost that beautiful mind type thing. You sit there and look at it and go, who was the first guy that went, I could go 100 stories on this building?
Yeah.
It's like, really? I would be a nervous wreck.
One of my favorite interesting ones I watched on that was building skyscrapers in earthquake areas, and what they do with the foundation is just incredible. You think like, how can that work? Like, and it does, but it's just incredible.
There was one
and cool
I had just watched. It was a high rise in San Francisco, and the building was leaning because it was sinking into clay or mud or whatever was underneath this building, and the building was actually leaning, and it was all luxury. And then they talked about how they had to dig down thousands of feet and pour footings and then get these jacks, and now you're in the middle of an earthquake area, and it was fascinating.
They fixed it though. They got it solved?
They did. Well,
Okay.
It's still standing. So
All right.
so far so good. But I didn't have anything to do with the project. So
amen.
So let's tell people, how do they find you? People who want to do internships. I mean, I think that would be important to get out there. So how do people find you guys?
Olsson.com, OLSSON.com. We've got a great internship program. I think one of the things that inspires me most, and I just heard at the end of the summer, is our interns talking about being able to come in, work on a team, seeing the team that they're on, working collaboratively with another team, and they get to work on a project right here in their community and improve their community. Everyone's looking to do something that's meaningful. And for us, it's finding a way to tell that story and help them realize that they can improve their community.
That has to be so fulfilling.
And as an intern, most internships, you're not really doing actual work. You're almost doing, like, I don't want to say fantasy work, but fake work just to go through the progression. So that's awesome that people actually get to work on projects.
I think of legacy more and more now in my 64 summer, like, what am I to leave behind, whatever. And I can't put my kids and drive out to a bridge and go, I helped build that.
Yeah.
But that would be really cool to be able to do that, right?
Well, maybe we'll just get them.
Would be.
We'll get them to describe your name on a plaque right at the very bottom, and that way you can have credit. You guys do that for Gary?
We would. Maybe we'll name something out
No.
for him. A water main somewhere.
A
in the
porta
ground.
pot or something like
All right,
that.
thank you so much, Travis. Of course, that's where you would go. I love it. It's been a pleasure speaking with both of you and getting to know you.
No, this has been great.
Any
Thank
last
you
thing
so
you'd like
much.
to leave our people with? Or?
Well, we just appreciate your time today, and
We
it's
appreciate
fun to
yours,
talk
man.
about
This has
this,
been a
so,
lot of
yeah.
fun.
Thanks
100%.
for all you've done for Lincoln specifically, since this is my hometown, but of course the state. Thank you.
This is our home too. so,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
All right. Well, we will be back next week. We appreciate you guys tuning in and listening, and we'll see you. Anything else to add? You get to that 30 seconds and then I panic and I go, we're running out of time. And then we have
Well,
more
let's
time.
see. I would just like to say, Travis, you did a great job today. I'm very
well,
proud
there
of
we
you.
go.
And I'm
Gold
is there anything
star.
else you need to succeed
Take a
from me?
gold star out of petty cash. We'll see you guys next week.
Gold star.